Well, first of all, Frank Vogel said that he loved the way it came down to the end because the one weakness for his squad is continuity. They've only been together this year, so he wants to get as many of these late game situations under their belt in the regular season to have them to lean on in the playoffs. Now, LeBron, on that last shot he made over Jaylen Brown, he told us that final shot was set up by the first 47 minutes because the rest of the game he kept going baseline, going baseline, going baseline. In that moment, he faked baseline, which gave him the opportunity to open up towards the middle, get to his rhythm shot, hit the fadeaway jumper, and win a game that felt like a playoff game.
So they play the Celtics on Sunday. They have Zion and the Pelicans on Tuesday. That bookends what happens Monday morning. What are the players in the organization right now? What are their plans for that Kobe Bryant Memorial?
Yeah, the Lakers are going to be there, obviously, and they want to be able to experience it in the moment. Now, they had that very emotional night here at Staples Center about a week after the tragedy. They played the Portland Trail Blazers. They lost that game. There was a lot going on. There was a pregame tribute that lasted almost a half hour. Usher sang, Boyz II Men was here. There was a wonderful cello tribute while they showed various clips from Kobe's life and career on the Jumbotron. They've been able to kind of push that out of their minds for the last several weeks, but they are ready, as Anthony Davis put it, to grieve when it's time to grieve, and then when we move on, we will get back to the business of basketball. And it's not just to be the Lakers in the house. The Celtics are staying over. Many of their team members will be here. I'm told players from around the league, active members, have asked for special dispensation from their coaches and front office staffs to come to LA to be a part of this thing, to be in the building as well and pay their respects to Kobe Bryant, his family, and of course the other victims of that horrific crash.
5 count is on, looking, lobs it for James, he's got it. Out on the right wing against Jaylen Brown. Backing him toward the mid-post, 9 to shoot, spins, fades, LeBron gives the Lakers the lead. 30 seconds to go.
Well, you heard that call from Mark Kessinger on ESPN Radio 30 seconds ago. LeBron hits the fadeaway to give the Lakers the lead. Anthony Davis hit some free throws down the stretch there as well to help secure the 114-112 win at Staples Center's Lakers over the Kemba Walker-less Boston Celtics.
Say that 3 times fast.
Exactly. I tried to do it very, very slow. Jason Tatum, talking about picking up the slack, 41 points. He had 37 after 3, but the 41 points makes him the youngest player in this storied history of a rivalry to record 40 points in a game. And he's the first player to score 40 in the rivalry since Kobe Bryant did it in 2011. Keeping it in the NBA, the Bucks, they didn't play on Sunday, but they did still clinch a playoff spot after the Wizards lost to the Bulls. According to Elias, it's the earliest a team has clinched a playoff berth in at least 15 years. Again, remember, Milwaukee last year won the first 2 against Toronto in the conference championship and then lost the next 4. Milwaukee is 48-8 on pace to win 70 games, a feat only accomplished by those 95-96 Bulls and the 2015-16 Warriors. And to keep it NBA and really in the world of sports, Kobe Bryant is going to be honored today at the Staples Center. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. We'll have a couple of guests during the show to talk about that. Celebrities really from everywhere, not just the sports world. There are NBA players from other teams that are going to be leaving their teams to go to this for the day to celebrate, obviously, Kobe, his daughter, and all the lives, all 9 lives that were lost on that crash in January. So that happens today, again, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. We will cover that. And that is SportsCenter, brought to you by Goodyear. Basketball season is heating up. Teams are starting to discover who they really are, and the possibilities are beginning to take shape. Goodyear believes moments is the path to discovery. So whether you're on the road to a championship or the road home, build momentum with every drive. Visit Goodyear.com and discover the road ahead.
Fury, now the WBC heavyweight champion of the world.
He used his size, his determination, and he took advantage of a guy who's there to be taken advantage.
Tyson Fury makes bold predictions and then goes out and does precisely what he told us he would do.
The king has returned to the top of the throne.
Golic and Wingo with you. Glad you're with us on a Monday morning. So there was a lot that went on over the weekend, but obviously most of the talk in the sporting world was what happened Saturday night in Las Vegas. Tyson, Fury, Deontay Wilder, the rematch. In many ways, Mike, it lived up to expectations, even though I think a lot of people were surprised by the outcome.
Oh, man. I mean, how about the biggest gate we're talking about for heavyweights? They each, had 25 mil before we even get into the pay-per-view money. I mean, They both did well financially. It was a great buildup. Again, both undefeated, both only with one tie that was against each other the last time they fought. This time around, listen, Tyson Fury changed trainers, and basically the new trainer was like, we're going to attack.
Correct.
We are going to attack. And everybody was wondering, are they just, is this draft talk?
Posturing,
NFL
right.
draft talk, where you're
Correct.
misinformation going out there. He was 16 pounds heavier than the first time they fought. 73 pounds, I think, and he just came after Wilder. I mean, these are both big one-punch guys as well, so it could end like that. So for those that didn't see it, third round, Wilder gets knocked down. Fifth round, Wilder gets knocked down. Seventh round, Wilder is getting pummeled, and the ref is stepping in to break them up, and the towel gets thrown in by it was Mark Breland, who was the co-trainer along with JD's for Wilder, throws the towel in, and that's when the controversy started on whether that should have been done or not.
So if you didn't hear it or see it, here is exactly how the fight ended in the seventh round.
Just coasting back into that neutral corner, and now Fury's looking to split the guard as Wilder's in bad shape. This fight is over. This TKO victory. There is only one. There is only one. Crown the king, the lone undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury, the champion.
That was Joe Tessitore on ESPN Plus pay-per-view Saturday night, Sunday morning, depending on where you were and what time you were watching it.
It was. Let me tell you, it was Sunday morning where I was.
There you go. So there's a lot.
And he'll join us a little later.
Joe,
in the show
Joe will
today,
be joining us a little bit later. There's a lot to get into here because the one thing that is not in question is Tyson Fury dominated this fight
Yes,
from
he
start
did.
to finish.
Yes, he did.
There was no doubt who was dominating this fight. Yet there seems to be, to some people, a little controversy about how it ended when basically Deontay Wilder's corner decided our guy had enough and they threw in the towel.
And this wasn't a just in the moment thing. This had been building, and then we have really good sound now. What was going on in the corners with the trainer and with Shelly Finkel and in Wilder and how he was throughout this fight.
So a lot of people, not a lot, but there are some people thought, you know what? It's a heavyweight prize fight. This guy has the belts in Deontay Wilder. You want to see him lay it all on the line, essentially. And here is Max Kellerman sort of saying how he wasn't 100% cool with the corner throwing in the towel.
Everyone's talking about it was a great stoppage. Honestly, I understand why they stopped it. Right. The heavyweight championship of the world is the one time where I understand when the fighter says, I'm willing to risk my life to do this.
He should, yeah.
I'm willing to sacrifice on the altar of greatness.
Yes.
I think the corner has to take that seriously. And Deontay has the kind of power, even though he looked like he was about to topple, he was dangerous until the end. Even if it looked like he wasn't. The man has unnatural power. He was not.
All right, I want to say one thing, first of all. Everybody can have their own opinion. I am not okay with someone sacrificing it all for the altar of greatness. I'm not in this to watch someone die. I have no interest in that whatsoever.
I couldn't disagree more with Max on this
one. I have no interest in that whatsoever.
And where I disagree, from the athlete side, I get it, because you heard Deontay Wilder after this saying, I wanted to go out on my shield. And I get it. I get it from the athlete side. There's no way you want that fight stopped, right? No way. That's the job of your corner.
Correct.
That's the job of your trainers. There's a reason now in the NFL, when you get stung in the head, you want to stay in the game, they will take your helmet away. Yeah. You need to protect the athlete from himself. And you know what? The athlete's going to be ticked.
Of course.
The athlete and any athlete, 99% of the athletes are going to be ticked and say, do not take me out of the game. Do not stop this fight. Do not interfere with this. Let me go. Those guys, their job is to protect that guy, and they're the ones that know best. The guy who threw the towel, Mark Breland's a boxer. Mark Breland won a gold medal in the Olympics. He understands what it is to get hit out there, and that is their job. So while from the athlete side, I completely understand Deontay Wilder, I think most would say the same thing. Let this thing go. But, man, and you can be mad at your trainer for it, but that's the trainer's job. They're the ones there. They're listening to the conversations that are going on during the fight and understanding the situation better than anybody.
Listen, when you hear someone say that corner needs to take that idea seriously, they did.
Yes, they
did.
They
took it very seriously, and they did their job. And to what you were alluding to, our boxing reporter, Bernardo Osuna, has a great breakdown of how much earlier in the fight, way before the 7th round, that there was an indication from Deontay Wilder's corner that this was not going well and it needed to end.
JD's, the head trainer, walks down after speaking to Deontay after the end of round 5. He asks him, how did he respond? And JD's just kind of looked at him and shook his head like, not well. And there was already concern from Shelly Finkel, and he said, well, we got to take care of him. Then round 6 is a horrible round where Deontay Wilder threw only 5 punches, and he landed none of those. And when he comes back right before round 7, the first punch that he takes in round 7, Mark Breland grabs the towel and he motions at JD's like, hey, let's throw in the towel. JD's waves him off. And then when Tyson Fury takes him over to the corner and starts pummeling him, almost simultaneously as Kenny Bayless is stepping in, that's when Mark Breland threw in the towel.
And again, that was Bernardo Osuna on Game Night on ESPN Radio. And all of this, Mike, is Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. I think they did exactly the right thing. If you listen to what was going on there, you could make the convincing argument they could have stopped it well before the 7th round. And my issue was when you see someone bleeding from the ear, that's a danger sign to me because we don't know where that blood is coming from. We don't know what kind of internal injuries. We had a fighter die in the ring last year.
Yeah, I think there were 2.
Was it more than one?
I think there were 2.
Okay, at least one, maybe more.
Right.
That we don't need that.
No.
The sport doesn't need that. They did the exact right thing at the exact right time, and I would have been okay if they had done it before the 7th round.
And again, remember, this fight was Fury's fight.
Yes.
I mean, this
Start
wasn't
to finish.
a lucky shot here and there. This was Fury's fight. If you look at the punch stats for this thing, this was all Tyson Fury. He was dominating this fight. So, again, the athlete can be mad at the trainer. I get it. Any athlete who's been doing anything long enough has probably been held out of something, again, in different degrees, that they didn't want to, and they're mad at the trainer. Trainers do it for a reason. And who's a guy we respect, and who's a guy that's been in the boxing game forever? And is there anyone tougher than Teddy Atlas?
No.
I mean, Teddy Atlas, we love when he comes in and talks boxing. This was Teddy's tweet. At the end of the day, yes, Wilder got beat and maybe exposed, but most important is that he's okay. And I believe one of his trainers, Mark Breland, is responsible for that. So haters aside for a minute, I just want to say thank you, Mark. Again, Mark Breland is the co-trainer in there who threw in the towel. And as you heard in that soundbite we just played, was going to throw it in earlier. And JD said no. The other trainer said no. And then Breland finally threw that towel in. Again, that is their job. And you heard Shelly Finkel say we have to protect him. That is their job. Athletes may not like it. I can't stress this enough. Most time athletes will hate it, but it has to be done because they're so focused on what they want to do. At times they need protection from themselves. What Wilder said, just about any athlete would say, I want to go out on my shield. I either want to win this or you got to carry me off the field. I get it. I absolutely get it. That's why you need other people who have been there, who have been involved to sometimes make those decisions for you.
Listen, Canelo Alvarez also credited Wilder's corner for protecting him out there on Twitter. It's a hard thing, and I understand it. And Deontay in the ring afterwards, said he wanted to go out on his shield, but you could tell he wasn't right. Ever since that third round knockdown, his legs weren't there. He wasn't, like as you said in the last round, he wasn't even connecting on any punches. So then the next thing is, do we see a third matchup between these two? Because I believe there's a clause in the contract.
There's a clause in Wilder's. Wilder has to invoke in the next 30 days that he wants a rematch.
Yeah.
So he can say in the next 30 days he wants a rematch. We'll see where that goes. I mean, listen, these guys got paid. This was a monster fight. So now they fought twice. One was a draw. This one, Fury definitely dominated this. And you heard in the sound from Wilder and him talking after this that it seemed like there was something that was going on in his life maybe. I'm not sure what, but it seemed like there was something with Wilder. He wasn't making excuses. He said Fury was the better fighter, but he kept kind of alluding to, it's complicated or I had things going on. We don't know what that is. Maybe we'll find out, and if it had anything to do with the fight. But again, Wilder, while he kind of brought that up, gave Tyson Fury his due for that, as far as, beating him and being the better fighter that night. So you wonder if they'll do this again because, man, if nothing else, listen, everybody loves money, and they got paid a ton of money for this one. And I would imagine if they do it again, I don't know if there'll be as much money. Maybe there will, maybe there won't, but there'll still be a lot of money.
By the way, Tyson Fury also addressed the idea of a rematch after the match.
I'm almost sure that he'll take a rematch because he's dynamite puncher, and at any time he can take somebody out, and with that danger, then you're always in a fight. So I'm pretty sure we'll do it again. We're running back again if he wants to, but if he doesn't want to, then these are me promoters, and whatever they want to do, I'm happy with. Whoever's next will get the same treatment.
By the way, I could listen to Tyson Fury say anything. I just want to be clear about that. I mean, he's the ultimate cartoon character, and who, by the way, punches very well. Yeah. He sang American Pie.
Yeah, he did.
In the ring afterwards. Came in on that sedan thrown to Patsy Cline's Crazy.
Well, both their entrances were absolutely amazing, and he did sing American Pie. We actually put it up at Golic and Wingo. What would be your song, your victory song? He sang American Pie after. Another fight, he sang, what did he sing? A Aerosmith song.
Yeah.
He sang Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, when he fought Klitschko back in 2019. So, big singer after that, huh? And if there isn't a rematch, his next fight could be maybe Fury for Anthony Joshua at Wembley this summer.
Oh, my God, can you imagine that
would be incredible as well. But I would be shocked if Deontay Wilder didn't invoke that in the next 30 days and go for that rematch. But we will see. But I know we are both in agreement. Interesting what people think out there, again, at Golic and Wingo. If you saw that fight or read about it or saw enough of it to have the opinion about it, do you think it should have been stopped or not? Do you have a problem with it?
All of that is Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. Much more coming up in just a second on what should and should not happen, perhaps, with the NFLPA and the collective bargaining agreement. But first, let's get you caught up on what else is trending around the world of sports. And in one of the most Madison Bumgarner things ever, Madison Bumgarner told The Athletic that he has been competing in rodeos under the alias Mason Saunders and even won $26,560 in a team roping competition in December.
So he won enough for like a half a pitch.
Exactly.
His wind-up, he just made $26,000.
I mean, he signed an $85 million deal, so he's not doing this for the money. The best part is he says, I do this because it's just something I do, but now you're ruining this for me because obviously it's in a story.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's no way your team's going to want you doing that. Yeah, go have fun riding. Go have fun roping.
Yeah, D-backs GM Mike Hazen told The Athletic he was not going into discussing specific contract language.
I bet they discuss it with him.
I think there will be a discussion. And remember, Madison Bumgarner, before he got married, once dated a woman named Madison Bumgarner. I mean, it is the most Madison Bumgarner thing ever. Meanwhile, wild weekend in college hoops. Entering Saturday, the longest active winning streak in D1 belonged to San Diego State, and then Baylor and Gonzaga. All three lost, although I'm not really acknowledging the Baylor loss.
No, you're not.
Baylor almost won to Kansas. UNLV beat number 4 San Diego State. Number 23 BYU beat number 2 Gonzaga. Number 13 Auburn beat Tennessee. And number 7 Maryland lost to number 25 Ohio State as well, which has been the pattern for college basketball.
Yes, it has, without question.
Season.
Have fun picking your brackets come March.
Just going to use the dart gun again. And then the NFL players' leadership is still divided over the thought of a 17-game season. Player reps fell into 3 categories when discussing the new proposed collective bargaining agreement, sources told our own Jeremy Fowler. Those who never want 17 games, those who will take it with tweaks, and those who will just take it. Those reps held a conference call Friday, were set to vote on the deal, but getting 2/3 of the majority was far from a slam dunk. So they're going to meet with the owners again this week.
Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with the Name Your Price tool to find a price that works for you.
So we're going to kick the can one more time as we get set for the Underwear Olympics to get underway this week in the NFL Combine. And, again, to me, Mike, as this was all proceeding at a record pace, it seemed like last week, that the NFL wanted this thing out there, and they were certainly putting out, hey, it's better for everybody, more games, more money, more stuff for us to sell, more money for the players, all this kind of stuff. It just felt like there was this rush by the NFL owners to get it done. And, there was a big conference call between the NFLPA and the executive committee, again, which Lorenzo Alexander is one of them, and he'll join us a little bit later, the former Bills linebacker. They negotiated this deal for 9 to 10 months, and then at the end, 6-5, they decided against it. Now, it's important to note that they didn't even take the full player rep situation, because according to the way it worked, they need 2/3 to sort of recommend it, but it wasn't binding one way or the other. It was going to go to the full body of the NFL players one way or the other. But I think there was enough hesitancy that caused the NFLPA to say, well, let's see if we can go back and take one more kick at the can, which I have no problem with.
I would absolutely do that. And again, we've heard Adam Schefter report saying the league is not negotiating anymore, but whatever. You say anything during negotiations, right? So I would try that, because the league wants to get this done so they can start doing their renegotiating their TV deals, which could bring more money in. Again, I know people aren't really too interested in the minutia of this, but as far as revenue split, it was 47. It could go to 48. If it goes to 17 games, it could go to 48.5. And people are saying, okay, what does that mean? Well, what it means is if it goes to that amount, over the next 10 years, $5 billion more will go to the players, which is certainly a nice chunk of change. And one of the things I like is you want to, union's job is to take care of a lot of times the more, right?
Correct.
Than the few. And I like some of the things in here, from increased minimum salaries are going up a nice amount. And there's a decent amount of players on minimum salaries. Practice squad players, of which there are 12, their pay goes up as well. And they're going to add 2 more practice. So think about this alone. Practice squad alone. If you add practice squad players with active players, you get 2,144 players.
Right.
Okay? Practice squad will come up to 14, just 14 times 32 is 448. That's 20%. That's 20% that are going to get a pay raise. And then you have the minimum salary guys take another chunk who are going to get a pay raise. I think that's the important thing. Yeah. Millionaires are going to be millionaires.
Correct.
The big contract guys are going to be big contract guys. And you know who else the other thing I like in this, who else would lose? The veteran who's been around, proven himself, but you look at his cap number and you go, you know what? We can get a younger guy for less. So one of the things I liked is it's kind of like that mid-level exception in the NBA, right? It's you can have 2 players. Yeah. 2 players make $1.25 million that don't count against the cap. That would be a veteran.
Right.
That would be a veteran who's in that area who gets cut because they want to keep a younger guy who's making minimum. Right. Well, now those 2 guys on a team can be kept for that. Yeah. I think that's a good thing.
I do,
Again,
too.
You're taking care of practice squad. You're taking care of minimum. You're taking care of some veterans like that. I like that part of it, taking care of those types of players.
All right, so Golic and Wingo with you, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Friday after the show, I also did NFL Live. We broke it down this way. Obviously, you want the big ticket items, right? You want the health care for life. You get all this stuff. That's going to be very difficult. And
they're not getting that.
That would be a protracted, long negotiation that might interfere with the regular season in the 2021 regular season. And here's why that's never really going to come to fruition. Because I summed it up best. Baseball has free agency because one guy, Curt Flood, decided he was willing to sacrifice his career so everybody could get free agency. He didn't want to, but he understood that it might end up that way, and it ended up doing that. He never played again after that, and he was a very, very good baseball player. For the NFL to get the things that everyone talks about, whether it's much more of this and expanded health and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have about 400 Curt Floods, because so many of these guys look at it as a 4-year cash grab to get whatever I can get. Because like you said, the top is always going to be the top. But for 70% of the league, it's like, how long can I hang on and get as much money as possible? And there's no way 400 guys are going to be willing to sacrifice their entire career for somebody else to benefit.
That's been the toughest part. And I saw it in '87 when we were striking, and it was the millionaire guys who crossed the picket line.
Yep.
It was the guys that could afford the most to stay out, didn't, and that crushed us.
Yep.
So to think, you're right. you're not going to have 400 Curt Floods doing this, and that's a tough part. I'd keep negotiating.
Yes, absolutely.
A little bit longer and try and get a little bit more and see if you can. Though.
But know when the end is the end.
When the journey's
for lack of
over.
a better term. Yes. Coming up, February 24th, 2 and 24 have never been more prominent in our minds. We'll get to that next. Golic and Wingo.